Yo guys, it's your boy Judas Game here, back again with another video. Um, I think we got someone called um, Nightmare or something. I forgot the name of their channel, but we're gonna be reacting to some horror videos, horror story basically, true attic horror story. So let's get to it.
I live in a two-story house with my husband. The house is pretty old, but has a
Okay, it's called Nighttime Spooks.
decent-sized attic up top. We don't really use the attic other than for storage, which really comes in handy for keeping the rest of our house clean.
Right.
Last fall, I was going up to the attic to get some documents. I hadn't been up there for quite some time. I opened the latch in the ceiling and pulled down the staircase, which came down from the door in the ceiling all the way to the floor. I walked up, and when I got inside, I saw that some of the things in the attic seemed to be rearranged. We had quite a few boxes up there, as well as other junk, so that took up almost all the space in there. But I knew things weren't the way I had left them last time. It made me a little worried, but I thought maybe my husband had rearranged things up there for some reason. I knew this was likely the case, but as I was looking around in several of the boxes up there, I had a really uncomfortable feeling. The attic was actually kind of big, and I had to go all the way to the backside of it to find what I was looking for. I hurried up and got what I needed, then went back downstairs. I went straight to my husband and asked him if he had been in the attic recently. He casually said that he had been up there a couple of weeks ago. This made me feel a lot better, because I hadn't been up there in at least a few months. The next day, I went back up to the attic to put the documents back. Once I got up there, I went to the far end of the attic back to where the boxes where I kept them in were. I started to put them inside, and as I was doing this, I just barely heard my husband start to shout my name. I called out to him and asked what he wanted. He seemed to be frantically yelling my name. I turned and walked about 10 feet over to where I could see the entrance of the attic. I saw the door opening and my husband enter. He motioned to me to come over to him and was yelling at me. I ran over to him, but I was really confused. We both went back downstairs. He then got on the phone with police. I was shocked until my husband told me that after I had gone up into the attic, he said he entered the hallway to use the bathroom when he saw a man's arm reach down from the entrance of the attic. The arm then lifted up the staircase to the attic and closed the door.
Wow, that is crazy. He must have snuck into a window or something. That is wow.
That's when my husband ran over and began calling my name. He said whoever did this was still in the attic. We left the house until the police arrived. They ended up finding a man who was hiding in the corner of the attic behind several boxes. They said he had likely been in there for a few days. It really gave me the creeps to know that I wasn't alone in there either time that I had been in the attic, and it wasn't my husband who had moved things around after all. I'm just really happy that my husband saw what was going on, or I don't know what would have happened to me.
Meet EditorX, the world's most advanced website design platform.
You done got clucked.
This is something that happened to me a few years ago. When I tell the story, most people still don't believe me, and I wouldn't have believed it myself if I wasn't there. It all started when I was traveling about halfway across the country to visit some of my family back home. I lived a few states away, and I liked driving back home instead of flying because it was always a fun drive through a beautiful part of the country. Anyways, I would usually have to stay 1 to 2 nights in a hotel depending on how long I drove. This time I was planning to stay 2 nights. Some of my friends had been using Airbnb a lot when they traveled, so for this time, I decided to give it a try. I found this cool little house that was very affordable for me and looked to be almost in the woods. It had the feeling of a cabin.
See, living in like a good area is great. Don't get me wrong, like living in like an isolated, sort of isolated, but like you need to have some neighbors around you. Yeah. But the woods, it's a no-no. That's just nobody around. It's just straight up forest. Like, nah.
And and when I got there, I could see how isolated it really was. I arrived a little bit early, but it was still dark out, probably like 8 or 9 p.m. I got inside to see that it was a really nice place, but it also appeared to be pretty old. I basically just had some food and then got ready for bed. But the whole time I thought I could hear some noises coming from somewhere inside the house. I knew I was supposed to be the only person there, so I got a little bit concerned. It sounded very faint, but was almost like a tapping or a knocking. I figured it was something from outside, but once I got upstairs, I could hear it a lot better. It definitely sounded like someone was in the attic making noises. I thought it was probably a squirrel or maybe a mouse because of how this house was out in the wildlife. I did my best to ignore it. It would stop occasionally and then start up again. It would stop occasionally and then start up again. Sometimes it would be louder or faster, and then would slow back down or stop completely. I knew I was just staying there one night, so I got into bed and tried to fall asleep. The noises kept going though, and I found it difficult to relax. Then I thought I could just barely hear the sound of someone talking. I decided that for my own peace of mind, I would go up into the attic and take a look around to see what the noise.
That attic creepy as fuck. It is creepy. Look at that. Nah.
This was so I could finally relax and get some rest. I walked over to the hallway and found the latch for the attic. I opened it up, and with a chair I stood on it to see inside. As I was opening the latch, I could hear the noises starting up again. I looked inside, and what I saw next shocked me. About 10 feet away, there appeared to be a really short man tap dancing. He was wearing a suit and a...
What? These attic stories, man. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Tie, and had a huge smile on his face.
Oh no.
He then turned and looked at me, and as he did, he backed away and then seemed to just disappear. I think...
Yo, isn't that funny? Like, say you going in the attic, right? You open the door, you see a short man tap dancing. You be like, this short nigga tap dancing in the attic. Hey, yo, what? Nah, you got all of that. It's just best to leave the house. Come on now.
I think I went into shock for a few moments, but once my brain was finally able to compute what I had just witnessed, I immediately ran back downstairs, packed all of my stuff as quick as possible, and then left. I drove to a motel about 10 miles down the road and stayed there. Since it happened, I sometimes think I had to be dreaming or something, but I know that I wasn't. I've also never hallucinated or anything like that. It's something that will always puzzle me, but I know it sure creeps me out a lot. In December of 2020, I applied for a new apartment, deciding to move from my old one. The apartment that I applied for initially was leased to someone else before I could take my deposit in. I ended up getting the last apartment the management company had available. It was the same everything: design, price, owner, and area, but the difference was that the apartment numbers were different. I didn't apply for this particular apartment, so I didn't see it before signing the lease. But I did see the other one I applied for before being assigned this one. I walked into a complete mess of an apartment. The tub was rusted. The O-ring on the toilet was broken, causing a horrible odor to fill the apartment. The dryer connection was also clogged, so this caused the dryer to not even dry clothes. It also seemed like there was something growing through the hallway door, like a tree or something. This caused a hump in the floor.
Sound like a... I don't even know. That just sound horrible. Like, how the heck? Nah, man. Mean to tell me you first bought that apartment and that's what you see? That's already red flags right there. Already red flags. Come on now. Really? Come on. Nah. Landlord gotta do a better job.
I complained daily to the management company and was in the midst of hiring an attorney, but after a month of complaints and calls to the management, in January of 2020, the management company offered me to change units. I agreed to move into the second unit, as it was up to my standard and in far better condition than Unit 2. I hired movers, set my deliveries to be delivered to the new unit, and my 18-year-old daughter and I started moving our few things I had from our old unit to the new one. The very first day after we spent the first night in the new unit, my daughter walked out to my car looking for something as we were preparing to leave for the day. I heard what sounded like rattling noises. I thought it was my daughter outside rattling the windows, trying to get my attention out of fear or an injury, so I began to walk to the front door. But then I realized the noise was coming from above my head. I stopped outside of my bedroom doorway and looked up, and the entry door to the attic was above my head, and it opened very wide. It was so wide that I looked straight up at the trusses in the roof, but I could not see who it was up there, so I yelled, "I don't know who you are, but I'm about to blow your brains out." Then I went and grabbed my gun off the dresser, and then the attic door slammed shut. The noise proceeded to go back the way it came, from the neighbor's side of the duplex. My daughter came back inside the house and saw me pacing with my gun in my hand and knew it was serious after taking one look at me. She asked me what was wrong, and I told her the story, so she urged me to call the police. I called 911 going along with her suggestion, and the sheriff came out and they stuck a mirror inside the attic. However, nothing was found in the attic, and they revealed that they had received a call exactly like that before, but in another unit. I knew it was my old unit I had just moved from because it had the latches on the attic door. The sheriff went to the neighbor's house and asked him, and he denied even being home at the time. I found that strange because it wasn't even 3 minutes later. Although I couldn't see who it was, I truly believe it was my neighbor. I'm just grateful that whoever it was decided to try it at the old unit and not the one we were at while we were asleep. I did not move, although I know I had the perfect grounds to break the lease and be done with this company and these apartments. But I had just spent over $2,800 with moving. I was exhausted at the thought of moving again. However, I had someone put in the same type of latches that the other unit had on the attic's door entry, and I called a security alarm company for an alarm system. I had a motion detector installed in the attic, and I also had a sensor put in the attic so that I'm notified if it's opened.
Yeah, these stories, email out here. Yeah, these stories, like, they're already red flags from the beginning, though. Already. But like I said, that's why you always go what's best for you. You know, especially addicts. So I mean, addicts they are low key kind of creepy. But this story space. But yeah, these stories, man, they were just red flags. They said he opened an attic door and saw a short man tapped it. Come on now, like it's just red flags. Like what? That's anything. That's insane. Like there's no way. No way. Not today. Nope, no way. Alright. Um Alright, Nine Town Spooks, you know, he makes a lot of videos and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be reacting to Mr. Nightmare as well, like I did back in my old videos I used to make. You know, old classic videos from like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. You know, I used to make old classic videos off of the phone. You know, had to start from somewhere, but you know, Mr. Nightmare, he made some good content, and this guy, Nighttime Spooks, and there's other horror people I watch too. I just don't watch it like that, and I used to, but then I started going into gaming and stuff like that. So, if you guys enjoyed, please smash that like button. Please smash that like button. And stay tuned, and I see you guys next one. Peace.